We are live.
All right.
All right. This is the Let's Unpack That podcast. I'm your host, Loud Barons.
Host Matt Duckett.
We got producer Danny here. We got producer Brandon here. You know, a lot happened to me in Matt's life, in the past few weeks.
Yeah, eventful. We were out there living life. You were in the Bahamas doing your thing.
I was in the Bahamas for like 2 straight weeks, 12 shows, met a lot of interesting characters all around. I drunk with a Super Bowl legend, not to name drop. I met a lot of interesting characters and women from across the country.
Mm-hmm.
Really got into the Bahamian culture. Matt had highs in his night job and drank Hennessy at his day job.
Yep.
But we can't really talk about that right now.
None of it matters. None of it matters
today.
Because 2 black guys richer than us got in a fight.
So let's get straight into it. All right, so
yeah.
No need to recap, but so Chris
No.
Rock, Will Smith, the joke. Let's get straight into the. Did Chris go too far with the joke?
It's everyone's definition of too far is different. I think for an Oscars joke, that was pretty inoffensive. It was off to the side. It was said in a way that it very easily everyone could have just moved on and not even thought about it. It wasn't it wasn't the direct attack. It wasn't like the purpose of the monologue was to be like, all right, and now I tell this joke about Jada. It almost seemed off the cuff.
I think, because Chris is like really a writer, at heart more than he is like a performer.
Mm-hmm.
But he sounded just seemed like he came out there and he was just winging it. And he's like, he was gonna do a Denzel impression, but then he didn't want to commit to it because he's like, I'm not Jay Farrow, and he just moved on.
Exactly, yeah.
And then he seemed like, because remember the joke about Javier Bardem and Penelope Cruz?
Yeah,
he didn't even say Penelope Cruz. He said Javier Bardem's wife.
Yeah.
And Penelope Cruz is more famous than Javier Bardem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He realized backstage, oh yeah, I'm better than this. Like, I don't really have to try that hard. She's like, fuck you and fuck you,
Yeah, because they kind of like monkey suited him, like, hey, Chris, go out and dance a bit. And then
exactly. So it's like, all right, fuck it, I'll just do some low effort.
Wait, so you said he realized he's better than this. Is this kind of like when we'll have certain gigs and then like somebody like me will like pull up to the Madhouse and be like, why the fuck am I here? They're not paying.
Well, let's not disparage a club that I'd like to be booked at again.
My bad. Sorry.
But it's definitely but to your point, it's definitely a thing of like, well,
Nigga, it is like it though. Don't say it just because you want to work there.
You get, you're paid to do stand-up places. So yeah, a place that isn't going to pay you, irrespective of the name of it.
It's like me pulling up to the Madhouse.
It's you pulling up to a place that's not going to pay you money and be like, well, I will get paid money to do this the same time and day for the exact same amount of time.
Yeah.
So why would I fight? Why would I try super hard, or why would I bother? Chris Rock really seemed like he was out there not really giving a fuck, which just made it even more absurd that things got as reactive and inflammatory as they did.
So with the joke, so it's like he obviously wasn't, because it's like he's not Don Rickles. He tries to channel Don Rickles when he's on the couch, on late night, and sometimes he does a good job of that. But Chris's bread and butter is when he's like really worked on an act for like 2.5, 3 years and got it down, and it's a mix of current events and love and relationships and race. Like
Sure.
That's and some pop culture sprinkled in. That's where Chris Rock earns his money. Not doing the sort of Don Rickles roast the crowd sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is like he was doing, and I'm not saying this to excuse it because I'm on Chris's side more than I'm on Will's side, just for the record. But it's like the thing with the thing that's funny with the like award shows is you're not at the Cellar, you're not in the Dirty Comedy Club. It's not a roast, but at the same time, one of the reasons we like having comedians host these things is there's something fun about seeing actors get made fun of to their face, because the actor, the movie star, is the most hard to assess entertainer. Like the comedian's the most easily accessible entertainer. Then it's the athlete, especially courtside. You can say stuff, and then now we see that they're NBA players and stuff like that aren't taking it like they used to. And then after that, maybe like the musician, but even then it's like it's music and you can't really hear anything. Yeah, but then it's the actor.
The actor does their job completely removed from the people that consume the product. And I mean, Ricky Gervais hosted the Golden Globes like 4 times just because people really enjoyed the fact that he didn't particularly care and would just lay into everybody. So, a big part of these award shows is taking the piss out of the celebrities, because there has to be a degree of self-awareness that this is just a bunch of rich people giving each other statues.
Yeah.
And the levity that's brought by being like, Leonardo DiCaprio won't fuck a girl if she can rent a car without a cosigner. That's, people enjoy that because it's like, it makes people more human. It makes people more accessible, like you said. So it certainly wasn't out of line of what is expected from these shows.
Here's a question I have. So comedy and the way people relate to comedy has changed over the years. We talk a lot about what it's like doing comedy in different Americas and Obama's America. And then when we had the 3 Americas of the Bernie, Hillary, Trump America.
Yeah.
People are a lot more vocal. You have social media. So people that normally wouldn't feel as comfortable speaking out or doing certain things are more now because they can just do it on their phone. And they're like, everybody feels their voice means something.
Sure.
So let's say it's 2005 and Chris hosts the Oscars and Jada goes bald for a role or she gets alopecia earlier. Whatever. And he makes that joke. Does Will do that? Or does even anything remotely like that happen in a different America? Because I feel like it's not, and we're going to I don't want to step on what we're getting into later. We're going to put Will Smith on the therapist's couch later. But would that even happen in say, a Bush America or even a Bill Clinton America?
I don't think so. I mean, listen, in Bush and Bill Clinton America, a black man is not getting front row seats at the Oscars.
That's true.
He's a couple rows back.
All right, Cuba Gooding Jr., we'll have you up that road. Show me the money and then get back in your seat. Nigga.
Denzel at that time was like a light jog from the stage. And he was the only one. He was the only one who got up that close, So on a technical level, there wouldn't have been enough time for this to grow. I don't think so. I think that just everyone being so connected and everything being so instant definitely plays a role in people. It's very easy to see something and react and type it onto your phone, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's starting to bleed into real life where people are reacting how they would on the internet in reality.
I agree. Is there any part where you are on Will's side or you're I see why you
No, not at all. Not even a little bit. It's just silly. It's dude, it's people have been taking shots at you and your wife the whole night. There were other jokes, not about her hair, obviously, and want to 100% give credence to the idea, you really shouldn't make fun of a black woman's hair. It's a sensitive topic.
It's not something I would ever. Well, I've never told a joke about a black woman's hair.
So I'm not touching that shit, and But there's
figuratively or literally, I'm not touching that
shit. Yeah, exactly. The instructions are clear.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's really good. But yeah. I don't even remember talking about that. That was really good. Oh fuck, that was a good joke. Oh fuck. God damn. Yeah, literally.
Collect yourself, man.
Yeah. Thespian. All
right. I'll pick it up. So, I'll pick my teammate up. But so that's something that we normally don't, you know, that's something that like you normally wouldn't say in mixed company, even though it's like black people. We've been making jokes about how we all have diabetes, how we all fucking, you know, and we make fun of LeBron's hairline. We make fun of Kevin Durant's hair. Like hair is something, and there is something kind of like traumatic about that. I don't want to like, you know, get too meta about this, but they're like black people, we do make fun of each other's appearances more than like other cultures do. Like just like within the community and then even on stage and public, like, oh, that nigga ashy, that nigga nappy, this, that, you know? Like when Don Imus said the nappy headed host thing, he was taken from a Spike Lee movie, you know, like reference wise, at least, even though he shouldn't have said that shit. But so yeah, there's something to be said for saying something like that in mixed company, and that's something I would have done. All one could say about Chappelle, I don't even think Dave would have done said some shit like that. You know? Yeah.
If Candace Owens' hair was like that, I think he would have said something like that.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, but Candace Owens doesn't come. Come on the pod. But it's just, there's definitely Chris Rock knows better.
Yeah.
He definitely does, and I would assume told that joke with the expectation that there would be no repercussions, but at the same time, that's also a very fair thought to have. You know,
here's an unanswerable question I have: does Chris Rock have a thing about Jada? Because 2018, I want to say, Chris Rock hosted Oscars, and was that famous Oscars where it's all the movies from 2017 where people kind of felt Will got snubbed for a concussion. People felt
sucked.
Right? But it was like, but he's doing an accent and it's dramatic and it's a serious topic. Some people felt Michael B. Jordan got snubbed for Creed, which I don't think he did. You know, it's a great movie, great acting, but
Creed
it's like, I don't.
Yeah, Creed is a great sports movie in the way that Any Given Sunday is also a great sports movie.
Yeah, but I don't think Al or Jamie should have gotten nominated.
Yeah, Jamie's not getting nominated for Willie Beeman.
No. Like, it's great. And like, I rewatched that.
Yeah, absolutely. If that's on the TV, I will. If Creed or Any Given Sunday is on the TV, I will watch. I will stop what I'm doing and watch it. I will sit through 3 hours of TNT ads.
It was like Michael B. Jordan, then it was kind of like 90s Wesley Snipes, where it's like, this is great, but it's like, you're not challenging yourself.
Exactly.
You know? But there was like some movies there and people felt like there were some snubs. And I think it was really what happened was because the Oscar So White thing happened like on Twitter, like a lot of movements start now on Twitter. And it was the sort of thing where it was like, I think what it was they were trying to make the Academy pay, the public making the Academy pay for all the other times there are some black actors that should have gotten nominated for something. Yeah. By the way, we got to do that one time. We got to do like black actor snubs. Sometime.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a litany.
Yeah, that's a whole nother pod. But
I mean, the Training Day, just really quick, the Training Day Denzel win was 100% a makeup for him not winning for Malcolm X.
Yeah. And then because Just Sin of a Woman was like a makeup for Al, not for Scarface and Godfather 2. And even,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's, fuck.
Oh, yeah, unanswerable question, though.
Yeah.
Because that was like
the time. A thing about Jada. What was the joke from?
The joke was,
I don't really remember.
Jada said she's boycotting the Oscars. Jada, it's like she does TV. You know, she does. It's like they here for. He might have said they here for your husband, not you. But he said that's like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited.
Right. I don't think that's like a thing. Like they very publicly decided that they were boycotting the event. So
Jada decided. I don't recall Will saying anything. It's like, I got nominated for Ali in Pursuit of Happiness. I'm trying to.
Yeah, I'm around.
Because Will wants to be the Grammy Oscar guy. He wants like
he wants the EGOT.
Yeah,
he wants the EGOT bad, but you know I don't know what Will's going to do on Broadway at this point. Will Smith as the dad in Fences would be the funniest thing I have ever seen. Who says I ain't got to like you? But it's I don't think that was a terrible Will Smith. I'm sorry.
Yo, Matt, like your Will Smith. You know, so it's real. The conundrum and the cerebral. the pal, because like the way I see my family is like, it's really important to me. Like it gets like a little Terrence Howard shade, come on, man, but it still stays firm. That's why he's a movie star.
Yeah, Lyle does the impressions, people. Lyle does the impressions.
Conundrum is such a word he would use too.
Yeah, conundrum is a Will Smith word.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think that it's like a thing about Jada, though, or the Smiths as a whole. I think that, they, again, made a very public thing about not being there. And so, as a comedian, you're tapped in and you're going to take the piss out of whatever's happening and you're going to try and knock people down a peg. Because ultimately, is Will Smith the face of the representation of Black discrimination in Hollywood? Absolutely not, because he's the Black guy that they decided gets to be famous.
Okay, that's what I wonder though, because there is a part of me that Chris Rock just looks at the Smith family. Like I could just picture, like months or even years before this happened, I could picture Chris in like a den with like Nelson George or somebody like that, just going, like the Smiths, they're kind of full of shit. Like I kind of just feel that's something in his heart that he believes like, yeah, Will's great and Jada's great, but they're full of shit. Like that's something I don't know why I feel that, but I feel that.
Yeah, I think that is fair and might be true, but I don't think that the antagonism is such that Chris Rock is like, any chance I get, I'm gonna make fun of. I don't
either. But you know what? Conspiracy corner. All right, let's get straight to conspiracy corner. So 1996. Oh yeah. Put our hats on.
Put the hats on.
Put the hats. What are they? Tinfoil dashikis? What are we?
Tinfoil dashikis. Oh shit. Oh, I wish I
or
remembered.
Or koofies. My bad. Koofies.
Yeah. Put on your tinfoil koofies.
So here's my conspiracy corner theory. And this is a stretch because honestly, I don't think Chris Rock gives a shit. But please indulge me. 96, final season of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, because Will's got Independence Day that came out Bad Boys came out the year before. Then Independence came out when he's on the sitcom. And his agent was like, we gotta get you the fuck off NBC. You're gonna die here. Chris Rock has Bring the Pain come out. Because Chris Rock's career was just he was kind of like a washed up former SNL guy. Then Bring the Pain just changes everything.
Right.
Black people, niggas bits, so on and so forth. And Chris Rock makes an appearance on the show as a famous comedian. And when Hillary has her own little talk show, and then Will is working for Hillary, and then he's got to take out the Chris Rock playing a version of himself. He's got to take out his sister, where Chris Rock plays a very shenane 90s black hood rap, oh my God type character. He puts on a wig, a gold wig, a dress, and then he's like getting all close to Will. I think you're so handsome, and he's got the bra that's stuffed and everything.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that and thinking it's fucked up because I loved Chris Rock on like the fucking on Fresh Prince. That's kind of like seeing a picture of Kobe and Magic Johnson together at a practice. Like, wow, they never played on the same team, but that's so dope to know they ran a scrimmage. But that's how you're using Chris Rock?
Right.
Putting him in a dress?
And here's the part of that as well, where, again, conspiracy corner, if there is antagonism.
Yeah.
In that scenario, I can't imagine that Will Smith fought NBC on that. It was
not at all.
It was a white studio executive who was like, wouldn't it be funny if we put him in a dress in the same way that XYZ, famous comedic black actors been? Who hasn't at this point? We may as well go to fucking Sephora after the show and get some makeup ready for ourselves when we have to ultimately sell out for the networks. But I can guarantee you that that is not something that Will Smith fought the executives against. Instead, he talked. If Chris Rock was like I don't want to fucking do this. It'll be really funny and this little publicity.
Because we get to see you on both sides. We get to see you as the comedian that you are, and then we get to see you do this, and that shows range.
Yeah.
I can kind of picture Will as somebody selling it to Rock like that. And he's like, well, another professor just came out, so I kind of thought, but I hate that. I hate that he did that. I hate that it happened. I hate that it happened on Will's show. It's because Chris Rock isn't even that type of. Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence, Jim Carrey, where he does a bunch of characters sort of thing.
Yeah.
He's like, you know.
Yeah, it was like watching Griffey fall asleep in the dugout in like 2011. Where I was like, just retire. You don't have to do this anymore, man. You're great. So if there was resentment, I think that would definitely be an inciting incident. I also think that Will Smith is probably upset that he didn't get the role of the zebra in Madagascar. Shark Tale did really bad. That's all I'm saying. Chris Rock has the superior animated film.
All right, so I hate to do this, but we gotta ask it. Keep that same energy. People are like, well, does Will do this with? I mean, people do it with like, well, would Will do this with The Rock? It's like The Rock wouldn't fucking tell that joke. Like The Rock doesn't do shit like that.
Yeah,
The Rock is like Will Smith without like the slightly above average acting chops, right? But my thing is, does he do it with a great comedian like T.I.? No, kidding.
Fuck, that's so inside baseball, but it's so.
But does Will Smith do this with Jamie Foxx? Does he do it with Dave Chappelle? Because it's like you see him do that, and it's like, oh well, you showed a 5'10", 57-year-old who's boss.
And that's the ultimate thing. It's like, oh, you slapped Chris Rock. And no offense to Chris Rock, but you made everybody hates Chris. You know the vibe you give off and who you are. It's like, oh, you slapped Chris Rock. Good for you, dude. You really showed that short guy, that dork, who's boss or whatever. No, he doesn't do it to somebody of a larger physical stature. Because Will's like 6'3" on a good day, 6'2" on a bad day. And I don't think he does it. And I don't think he does it to. He also doesn't do it to somebody that he knows a little bit better. It seems like, in the same way that like Rick Pitino and John Calipari know each other.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like, these aren't like boys, but like, coached in the same college conference or whatever. So like, there's a relationship, but it's not an intimate one.
Yeah. They're just like both rich and black and
yeah, exactly. So it's like you're gonna run into each other. You know what I mean? Like Chris Rock goes and sees U2 on tour every single time they go out. Like Will Smith's not at those shows. Like the hobbies and
they're in different world. Yeah. Chris is like more like artsy. You know, like he lives in Jersey and he commutes to New York. Like I feel like he goes to his office, works on something, reads a script, watches a movie, and I feel like Will just is like, how can we elevate?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they're two dudes that definitely don't have the relationship that would justify Chris Rock telling that joke about his wife. Which therefore,
what kind of does more justify it though? Because you don't know, you ain't over to dinner like that. I wouldn't do the joke like that. Like if I know you,
true, that's fair. Yeah, there's kind of two sides of that coin, huh? But yeah, I don't think Will Smith does it to somebody of a bigger physical stature, somebody he knows better, or somebody white.
So he wouldn't do that to Bill Burr. But Bill Burr's like, like. Yeah, somebody get a hat or whatever. Like he wouldn't.
I think he might have bit his tongue or yelled from the seat.
But he wouldn't have gotten up and
yeah.
All right, so that like I want to get. All right, so right before we put Will on the couch, the thing that like really, I don't want to say when it's hurt me. I don't want to say this hurt me because it's like I've been around real shit. I've seen shit like this. So ultimately, it's like. We're just seeing some shit that we've seen in our community, in our neighborhoods, with some rich motherfuckers.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like what they mean to me, because Will Smith, for me, that's a childhood idol. It's like Will Smith, it's Kobe Bryant, it's like certain guys that were like, they were with me. Like I was watching Fresh Prince and Men in Black and all that. And then Chris Rock means something different because Chris Rock wasn't my childhood per se, but he was with me in that time. You know that kind of transition when you're about 11 to 14 years old and you're starting to leave the Disney Channel and Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, and you're like when you discover Good Will Hunting and you're like, oh wow, I feel sophisticated.
Yeah.
I like this movie with no CGI and it's adult stuff. And
you're able to put together the nuances of like what makes good art.
Yeah, and you're like, all right, I don't. So, but I like Good Will Hunting. I like Finding Forrester, and there are these movies and this art that is, and for me, like Chris Rock was part of that. Like it was edgy, and he's saying puss and all the. And Chris Rock was also, I think, what's so noteworthy about Chris Rock is he was this. You look at like prime Chris Rock, 96 to 04, just stand up wise. His bits were kind of like songs in the way that we repeated them. It's two sides. It's da da da. Like we would repeat his stuff like on the playground or whatever, like we would repeat like a rap verse or a chorus or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just like these two guys who are like really in. It's kind of like watching uncles go at it or some shit. It's like, wow, you guys were like really in my life. It's like, you know.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I get that. I wish that I had. Not I wish. I never had the connection to Will Smith.
Yeah,
that you did. Loved The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Loved Men in Black.
Did you have a version of that with like a black actor that was like because Denzel's like too like more serious,
too old, but like God, I worship the ground beneath that guy's feet.
Definitely.
I would say. I mean, I definitely on the Chris Rock note. I'm 100% with you.
Okay, yeah.
That was like, you know, when you're 10, 11, 12, and you're not just laughing because somebody's saying the word pussy. Like you're actually understanding the context in which someone says the word pussy, and you're like, oh, this is funny because X, Y, Z.
The cuss words were just like extra fuel for the fire, but it was
exactly. It was So for me, it was like it was like him and like Chappelle. It was like more on the comedic tip, I guess, than more than just like I never actors I never really gravitated towards. But specifically with Will Smith, having a dad who grew up in Northwest Philly, like from jump, it was like, yo, Will Smith is a cornball. Like that he's not it. He's not Will Smith doesn't rep Philly, which I guess before we put Will on the couch.
I want to talk about what your dad feels about Will.
Yeah, because you know, I don't we've alluded to my dad before on the podcast and
being
shit like
Black
that.
Tony Soprano.
Yeah, Black Tony Soprano and all that shit. But yeah, my dad is like a bona fide street kid from Germantown, Philadelphia. And for people who don't know Germantown, Philly, especially in like the 60s and 70s where my dad was growing up, is that you mentioned Germantown, Philly to like any black dude like over the age of like 35. It is like, oh, that's like a real, that like he was in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like my dad's like from the streets and shit. And so he called me on the phone to discuss this yesterday. So I have some thoughts. So my dad has what he described as a West Philadelphia old Negro group chat that was popping off Sunday night.
Surprised old Negroes know how to use a group chat.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Just like reactions to things that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Like emojis coming out of nowhere. But for my dad, who described himself as the Germantown delegate, we do not claim Will Smith, nor do we believe his actions were representative of some real Philly street shit. If you're going to slap someone like Chris Rock, they better end up on at least one knee after you do it. Otherwise, it's a 100% a bitch-made move. Which is, yeah, it's like slap Chris Rock and he just eats it and laughs in your face.
We know the other thing with Chris Rock getting slapped is he came out that he had a learning disability.
Yeah. He has he isn't able to read
facial expressions. And you have to verbally tell him something. So Chris Rock, I don't think he knew he was about to get slapped necessarily. Because when Will came up, he said, Richard. He's thinking like, oh, it's the guy from the movie that he just did. And it's like, because I remember I would see like learning disability kids get like slapped. I hit a few learning disability kids when I was a kid. You know?
Shit. You know,
they wasn't retarded. They just like
there it is.
They just looked at like numbers and saw shapes. But they be like really like they didn't get the good grades until middle school.
It's not making it better.
No, listen, okay. No, them niggas was like
imagining Lyle just in the playground, just beating the shit out of Rain Man. Just in a sandbox.
Definitely not good.
No, but it wasn't like I was like trying to be. I wasn't a bully. It was like they would fuck with me and be like, "Yo, leave me alone." and they wouldn't leave me alone. And they keep fucking with me, and then and then somebody would be like, "Yo, like, he got a learning disability." I'm like, "But why is he hitting me if he got a learning disability? Why he talking? He knows his cuss words." It's like when people try to act like Kanye crazy. I'm like, that nigga's not crazy when he's at Gap. Okay, so don't tell me he crazy. So, and let me tell you something about the learning disability kids like that I got in altercations with. All right. They got bad grades in elementary, but by the time you got to middle school and it was long division, them niggas was excelling, okay? They couldn't do the basic math, but they could do the long shit. So them niggas was smart in a different way, all right? So like don't, but I'm just saying, Chris Rock reacted like the mentally disabled kids do when they got hit, where he was just smiling and explaining himself. Like, they're like, it was a G.I. Jane joke. He still explained himself smiling. And then it's like when I would see the learning disability kids get hit, not retarded, not mentally disabled, just learning disability. They just be like, no, but you stepped on my sandcastle or whatever. Like they just, oh my God. Oh my sandcastle. I'm from the concrete jungle. It wasn't no sandcastle.
The concrete jungle sandcastle.
There was no sandcastle. I'm just making shit up.
Santa Monica High School? What is this?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
I'm just trying to set a scene.
What a brilliantly, hilariously offensive way to describe exactly what happened.
Yes.
Oh, fuck. Amazing.
As you were.
No, but
back to your dad's comments.
So actions were not representative of some actual street Philly shit. If you're gonna slap someone, they better end up on at least one knee. A real Philly dude would have either beat his ass at the after party.
Yeah.
Or he would have ripped one of the armrests out of his chair and stabbed him with it. But very calmly. That was basically the summation of my father's comments, which I agree with 100%. It's like if you're gonna go up and hit somebody on television in front of people like that, like you gotta do something more than slap them and have them laugh in your face and
then make a joke after.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yo.
I know Chris was mad he didn't have like a good comeback in the moment because he was like it was like what he said was good and then kept the show moving and got some laughs. But it was like
when Will Smith screamed the first time, like, keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth. I wish he just went, or what? You're gonna hit me? That would have been so good. That would have been so fucking funny.
I seen this one post that said like Chris Rock should have said, "I'm gonna feel that until August." you know what I imagine this alternate reality though. Since you talk about like real Philly niggas, I imagine an alternate reality where Bill Cosby doesn't get canceled, and then Bill's on stage, and he goes, "Jada Pinkett, can we get her a hat? Stupid!" And then Will goes up, slaps old ass Bill Cosby because clearly Will don't got a problem slapping old people. And then Bill trips him and then kicks him and goes, "I'm from Philadelphia too, nigga. Ask the Muslims on the dirt bike." No. We coning.
We have entered full. Well, you see, you can take the street nigga out of Philly, but you can't take the Philly out of the street nigga.
And like to say I'm not a real Philly nigga because I'm not Muslim and I don't have a beard or a dirt bike, that is representative and indicative of a certain.
You made a song called "Parents Don't Understand." You're not exactly fucking in it to win it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So let's do notes.
We're putting Will on the couch, I guess, after just roasting.
Let's do that.
Him
after we just humiliated him, let's put on. So Will is. I talked about how, because I know you were born like a little later and you just don't gravitate to actors the same way.
Yeah.
But Will's interesting to me as a figure because Denzel, for example, Denzel's kind of more of like cut from the cloth of a little Sidney Poitier, a little Billy D. Williams. Denzel's pre-hip-hop, but he still kind of has a hip-hop swag because he's from Mount Vernon, New York, and he's got a certain influence and he played ball. Yeah. Whereas Will Smith kind of almost feels like if a slightly softer Eddie Murphy
rapped
instead of did stand-up, but didn't curse.
Mhm.
Because he's kind of like that 80s, like there's a certain kind of 80s guy vibe. Like he's kind of feels like he comes from that. And Will's the guy, he's like the black guy that did everything right. Up until, the world changed. But, he didn't cuss, he never got in trouble. Even with the stuff alluding to whatever his sexuality may be. I think of a line on The Sopranos of if Vito wanted to pursue that lifestyle, he should have did so in private.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, Will hasn't put any of his sexual business out there. Like, a lot of what comes out about him, or allegedly, it's just kind of rumors or other people saying it.
Mm-hmm.
He's been, I'm not trying to like, ride his dick or nothing, but I'm saying he's done everything that a black man should do right on paper. He's never really lost his cool. And then we've had years of there being public abuse. Bad Boys 2. Dr. Dre was music supervisor. Dr. Dre is in charge of some music on Bad Boys 2. And there was a scene in it where Dr. Dre, and this is like a lot of people say this, it's never been confirmed by Dre or Will, but Dr. Dre put the song Bitch Niggas in, and where Will's on screen. Bitch niggas, you's a bitch ass nigga. Because there was like a little thing, because Eminem had the line like, Will Smith don't got a cuss in his rap to sell records, so fuck him and fuck you too. Mm-hmm. So it's like when Will's like, I didn't have to curse to sell a record or whatever, and then it was like, they had like their little thing of clean rap versus like the shit we still listen to. And
yep.
And I mean, I loved you getting jiggy with it, but that's not Kevin.
Yeah, but if I'm not, listen, I'll dance to getting jiggy with it when it comes on at the club at 9 p.m. But the Will Smith
nigga, you would show up at the club at 9 p.m.
But the Will Smith discography stops at 11 at the latest, So
I just want to laugh that like Matt would be at the club at 9. Like,
there's no better time to be at the club than 9 to 11.
That is the worst time. I don't show up until like 10:30.
You get the fun of the fucking. You get to sit and hang out. And just everything be cool and quiet and just like listen to whatever's playing.
Cool and quiet.
There's
stay
no
home.
wait for the drinks. You don't gotta wait for drinks, shit like that. And then 10 to 11 is when it starts getting crowded and shit's popping off, and you get enough of that, and then you leave. I don't like to be in the thick of it. Yeah. I'm not about that action.
That's what it is. You're not about that. All right, fair enough. I'm not gonna make meatballs right now.
We're coons of a different cloth, like.
We are coons of a different cloth. But as long as that cloth is coonta cloth, my brother.
I'm a non-nocturnal coon.
Oh yeah, my stand-up is everything that takes place between 10:30 and 4 a.m.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. But so I look at Will like that, and then he talks about how Tupac made him insecure and how he'd be in the same room as Pac and could talk to him. And I don't be on the memes and all that shit. And there's this thing in his autobiography about how he saw his dad physically abusing his mom, and he never did anything, and he ran and hid, and he felt like a coward, which, by the way, let me just say, no, kid, don't beat yourself up about that. You're a fucking kid. Don't forgive yourself. A lot of kids forgive yourself. But Will clearly hasn't forgiven himself for a lot of these things and what he feels are shortcomings, because there's certain things that I don't want to get into what's toxic black masculine and all this, because some stuff ain't toxic. It's just real nigga shit, Thank you. Thank you, Brandon. Perfect. But there are that we do a lot of black culture and black art is we are selling trauma, and Will never really sold trauma except maybe a little stuff on the Fresh Print here and there that was sprinkled in.
Right.
But he was a guy that just did everything right. He made movies. He studied the blockbuster. He said I studied the formula for what makes movies the biggest top grossing movies. So he studied like A.T., he studied and Aliens and all that stuff. And he was like, what do people like? And you look at a lot of his movies, he's like the last man on earth. And he's like, I'm going to save the world. He clearly has a certain image he wants to project. And I think after all the years, he just couldn't take it.
Yeah, there's certainly something to the issue with Will Smith is one of the first guys to really make a brand out of himself.
Definitely.
And there comes a time where you want to deviate from that brand, in the same way that you'll see like Jack Black randomly pop up in like a very dramatic role.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like you gotta just get away from the School of Rock shit at some point. And yeah, I don't know how much Will has deviated from that in his career. He's really kind of stayed in this wheelhouse for 3 decades, and that can take its toll. And then especially as kind of from within, that image starts to get chipped away at and broken down by literally your own family members. It can have an effect. It has an effect. And I think that we've kind of seen over the past few years a guy who's kind of slipping and not in a way that he should be necessarily at fault for it. But yeah, it's like it's hard to be that guy for as long as he's been that guy. And I guess Sunday was just the night that it all kind of stopped, you know, where some people you know, the clean comic is like doing blow off a hooker's ass in the green room or something like that. Will Smith slapped a dude in the face on national television.
By the way, clean comics are some of the most dirty motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly. Right? They're totally nasty.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we just watched a guy just like have such a desperate need to deviate from who he's been for so long and who he's marketed himself as. That is an excuse. I think again, it was 100% a bitch made move and some weak shit. But again, if you go 30 years as being this guy, you don't really know how to be like an actual tough guy. Then you'll do some.
Well, I want to come from a place of identification as opposed to comparison, because I want to have as much empathy and understanding for black men, especially black men that snap, as much as I can. Because if I don't care, if you don't care, who's gonna give a fuck? Nobody's gonna give a fuck. Some black women will give a fuck, you know? And, you know, they'll be like, all right, I give a fuck, but nigga, you got to get out my house. You got to get out my life. But I wish I did everything I can for you. But outside of that, like, you know, the white ladies, you know, think they're oppressed, ain't going to give a fuck. The white boys ain't going to give a fuck. Like, you know, we going to give a fuck. Like, nobody's really going to give a fuck.
Fair.
So that's why I like to come from a place, because when I see with Will Smith, with that moment, I've seen that from niggas that are kind of cut from that cloth, where they was never the tough guy. They kind of did everything right. And then just one moment, they just snap and lose their shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, by the way, like, answer me this. Because this goes beyond Will, which is like why I really want to unpack this. Is there something where you try to be acceptable to all people? Because Will, he, you know, probably, I don't want to say second to Denzel, but there's like maybe like 5 black male celebrities I can think of where their stock is high within the black community and the white community at the same time. Sure. And then even outside of black, white. And do you think, but Will did it differently? Because like Jay-Z, his stock is high in a way where he's just like, great rapper, so cool. Beyonce. Denzel does it in a way where he's so great, but then we rarely hear from him, kind of like Kendrick, kind of like Beyonce, where it's like, well, we don't really know how Denzel feels about a lot of things. So we kind of like that. Will did it in a way where he's like, he was a lot more personable than Denzel. You know, he'd go on 106 in Park and he'd beatbox, and then he'll like do a verse from Summertime, and he'll do the kind of wave your hands in the air like you just don't. So it's like white people in a Jay Leno audience can get down with it. You know, it's not that complicated. You don't have to two-step. But he's still fun. Like, so do you think there's a thing where like you can kind of lose your mind trying to be accessible to all of America?
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. You know how exhausting it is? I mean, you know, the modern examples right now are Kevin Hart and The Rock, I would say.
How so?
In terms of, well, they're both just 2 guys that are like trying to please everybody with everything that they do. And it's, you know, it remains to be seen how in 20 years, what if they're going to smack somebody in the face at the Academy Awards, because they're still relatively new to this.
Kev is angry, I could tell.
Yeah. There's been a real edge to him. It feels like just like you watch like an interview. Like I watched him on like Deezus and Mero a couple months ago. And I was like, he seems like pissed off.
You can tell he's a drinker too. He seems like he unwinds with like a few.
Yeah.
Not like I don't think he drinks like in a way where he fucks up his life, but he kind of like I feel like he drinks like I drink. Like these bitch ass niggas. Like he's like,
yes, it there's it's exhausting. I mean, you look at like, oh my God, Will Smith was in 5 movies this year or whatever, and it's like Will Smith's in too much stuff. It's like you don't
was
like
he in 5 movies this year? I thought he just
no, that's I'm just like saying like let's think about like Will Smith like when he was like really going crazy with like putting himself everywhere, being everywhere and pleasing everybody. Yeah, it's completely exhausting. It's just it's an exhausting process. So yeah, I definitely think that there's a mental and physical toll that comes with being that guy.
So with that, by the way, if we run out of video, we still got audio. So there's a thing also where like with Will, I think it's that like he fell off. Like it's not even that I don't want to say Will fell off because I hate like with rappers where it's like they drop an album that like Roddy Ricch dropped like an album that just didn't connect, or Drake drops an album that doesn't connect. Mm-hmm. We just like, oh, they fell off. It's like, no, they just wasn't as good as other albums, but like I won't say they fell off. But with Will's, I think what happened is like the Marvel movies became a thing, and you got the Dark Knight. Like 2008 is when stuff started to shift. And I want to say that year, the year before that, he had Hancock, and Hancock like wasn't a failure, but didn't connect like the Dark Knight and Iron Man and other things.
Not at all.
And then he goes into the After Earth, and then more people are watching or binge watching TV series. So like the movie star is starting to become a thing of the past.
Yeah, I mean, I pulled up his filmography just because I'm a little curious. And then he tried to get in superhero space with Suicide Squad, and that was absolutely awful.
And then didn't they replace him with Idris Elba or something like that?
Well, he didn't come back.
He didn't come back.
Yeah, because he's just like, I don't want to do this. But yeah, I'm like looking at what he was in. It's like you've got like Men in Black 3, Concussion.
Yeah.
He was definitely fucking Margot Robbie. They were in like 3 movies together.